Yo guys, it's Zares. I thought I'd make a video on Yu Yu Hakusho Slugfest because the content and guides for new/intermediate players is not quite there. I've seen a lot of people abandoning their accounts and the game in general because of mistakes they made, or maybe they just don't know what to do. So I'm here on a new account on server 196, I believe, and I want to talk about what to actually prioritize. So first of all, when I'm on a new account, I basically do not spend crystal beads. I'm going to call them orbs because I don't really like the name crystal beads, but I have not done one summon yet on this account, even though we're about to approach day 3 of the server. You might be thinking, oh wow, this guy's a lot of orbs, he's probably spending quite a bit. But not one. Not one purchase, But the way I see it is orbs can be used to get anything in the game. Summon scrolls can be only used to summon. So at the start of the game, I'm just waiting for my scrolls. You get a lot. You don't have to do that whatsoever, but it's what I prefer. And the reason I do this is because I believe on day 3 or 4 of a new server, you get an SP banner you can choose. And obviously for a multi-summon on there, it's 5,000 orbs. And after around 4 multis, so 20,000 orbs, you get around a 70% chance to pull the new unit in entirety. And that's a huge boost to your account. It's a character to build around. You get like in your gallery there's like an SP gallery, so your power increases. So it's quite a big advancement for your account. I prefer going for SP Yusuke. But let's say you had like a lot of Jins and Rishos, maybe you want to go for a trauma team. For that team to really pop off, you'd need like SP Hiei. So for me, I'm gonna go for Yusuke. I just think the insane damage that you can build up is going to be a bit too useful for me to pass up on, but you can go with whatever. The biggest reason I'm making this video though is because people don't understand prioritization for their characters and they're taking tier lists a bit too literally. What I mean by that is every tier list for the game recently is calling Sasuga, Rinku, and Dr. Ishigaki basically the 3 best units in the game, other than SP characters, and there's some people even think they're better than SP characters, and that's completely fine, and I actually agree with it. They're amazing units, but those tier lists are made with the perspective that every character is maxed out. Dr. Ishigaki, for example, has to be awakened multiple times to be amazing. Rinku and Sasuga need to be awakened at least once to be amazing. Rinku, you can even argue, is like, you need him awakened 3 times to be amazing. And there are other characters in the game that people aren't registering that are good at 3 stars or 5 stars or important to max out because of the content they're good for. And no one really knows about it. And to give a good example, every single top team in the early to mid game, almost every single top team in the early to mid game is going to have SSR Yusuke at 3 stars or more. And the reason is because he gets this broken passive, and you can read it out there, but basically when your skill points are full, it's going to reduce the enemy skill points, and it's pretty broken because your enemy characters can basically never use their skills. It's really good for things like Demon World Adventure or a ton of PvE content like trials, these hard missions. Yusuke himself doesn't even do that much damage unless you get him like super maxed out, I guess, but he's really good against these like top bosses as well because he's giving extra skill points, not letting them use skill points, the heal, get shields, whatever. If someone has way more power than you in Arena, for example, but they don't have SSR Yusuke at 3 stars or some way to deal with it, they're probably going to get beat. And by the way, there are very, very few ways to deal with this guy at the start of the game. So a lot of people don't really know because he's not very high on the tier list for a lot of tier lists, at least example. But he's insanely important to get. Another character is SSR Kurama. And the reason this guy is really good is because a defensive character, if they die, other than Kurama, at 5 star he revives himself, but at 3 star he's reviving defensive allies when they get killed. And he revives them up to 4 times in a battle, 2 times per turn. So you can basically put a top damage dealer in your back row put Kurama in the back row, and SSR Yusuke in the back row, and your back row is basically going to be invincible. So you can go beat trial missions that are 30, 40 player levels above you with that combo. And I personally don't fill the entire front row with defensive characters when I'm doing that setup. I usually put 2, because you only get 4 revives, and those will go quick when you're in these hard events and hard missions, but I'll actually put UR Botan, because you get Botan to 3-star Awakened for free in 7 days. And she's actually quite tanky in the front row, so I put her there. It activates her Resonance ability. It activates Kurama's Resonance ability, which is actually insanely good. So think about it like this. If someone just understood, hey, Rinku and Sasuke are really good, let me just go for them, go for them, go for them. Suddenly the person who went for 3-star Kurama and 3-star Yusuke is ahead in, you know, Trials, Maze Castle, story, certain events, you know, even Arena actually. So it's kind of like an example of why the tier lists are not to be taken super literally. And there are a ton of SSRs that are really good, and you need to be going for. The third important one is actually Kuwabara. He's on my team, so he's up here. So if we look at Kuwabara, he's actually one of 2 characters you get for free at 3-star that is an SSR. The other one is Botan. And he is actually quite good when he's awakened, blah blah blah. And he's pretty important to max out. Why? Because a lot of people don't know this. I don't even know where it's written. But the person who goes first in PvP content, for example, is a person with higher power. So if you go to awaken Kuwabara, I prefer rushing him to basically 3-star awakened. Not only is he a great unit, providing amazing support, really good against like the super high HP bosses because of his skill, but he's giving you an insane amount of power, so you can outspeed people. That's good with the Yusuke, of course, because he's going to be able to... Your team is going to be able to reduce their power first, right? Their skill points. If you got 2 3-star Yusuke people versus each other, whoever goes first is usually going to win that. At least for a little bit, until team comps and strategy comes into play. So he's really important to build out as well. And there's another protagonist we're missing, and that's where we're going to go to the main team collection part of the new server celebration, and that's Hiei. SSR Hiei is also pretty good. He has the earliest extra basic attacks. Basically, he can attack 6 times in 1 turn, or 7 times in 1 turn actually, even at 1-star. So that's really helpful with Roto, because Roto is one of the best SRs in the game. You know, he applies Whirlwind to a target when taking a basic attack, lose an additional 10% of max HP up to 20% of your max HP. So against these bigger bosses, he's going to be doing 10% of his HP every single basic attack. So he is really good with him early. And he has some insane buffs for your character with the highest attack. So he's quite good. And obviously when you collect every single protagonist, you get a multi. Really good to get. And orbs. And if you even look, if you get 15 points, you get another multi. And this awakening gem is really good as well. Easiest way to get that is by getting everyone 3-starred. However, I do not prefer that. I prefer leaving Hiei at 1-star, because Yusuke, you need him 3-star for a lot of content. Kurama, you need him 3-star. And Kuwabara, for him to be really useful, have high power, really help your team a lot, you need to basically awaken him to 3-star. So I go for a Kuwabara 5-star before this event expires. You don't have to do that. You know, Hiei is definitely pretty good. But spreading out your resources isn't super ideal, because you're not going to have every single one of these guys on your team, probably. So that is what I prefer to do. And then obviously you're getting a ton of scrolls and orbs and everything. So after that, you know, after you're getting your 3-star Yusuke, your 3-star Kurama, you're getting your 1-star Hiei, you're getting your 5-star Kuwabara, and then eventually, you know, getting him to 3-star Awakened. that is when I would go for characters where you think, hey, in the late game, I want this. What I mean by that is like a lot of trauma teams. Let's say you went with SP Hiei, you're going to want a lot of Rinkus. So until SP Hiei has his full, awakened Jin and Risho next to him and your Rinku, I would focus on those protagonists to really explode your account, because it's just going to let you get so ahead in all of these events for the new server, so ahead in PvP and this and that. You're going to get so many resources that what you focused on, all the stuff you put into this, guys, like the shards and the orbs and the scrolls, you're basically going to get it back as long as you're playing smart. So yeah, that's what you would basically do in terms of priority. For example, after I get these two 3-starred, I'm going to have Kuwabara and actually probably Sasuga as my other wishlist character. But for now, I'm not even thinking about Sasuga. So I'm running a bit too long in this video here, but in terms of other general tips, because prioritization is the biggest one, guys. I mean, really. A lot of people don't understand that power decides your speed. A lot of people don't understand how important 3-star Yusuke is at the start of the game. Another big tip is, me personally, I take every bit of ramen that I can. Ramen has diminishing returns. It's obviously stamina, right? But I can spend, I believe, 300 for 5 ramens or 1,000 for 11. Obviously, one is a better deal. But the reason I'm going to go for maxed out ramen every day is because every ramen gives you 600 XP. It's not the biggest deal, but eventually I'm going to get a level that someone else is not going to get, because they're only getting, 5 ramens for 300 orbs or whatever. And that piece of content can actually give me more XP. You know what I mean? Like, if I unlock the Dark Tournament faster than someone else, it's going to unlock the daily mission, participate in Dark Tournament 5 times and get 2000 XP. So it really can ramp up. You don't have to do that, like I said, but that is what I prefer to do. Another thing is if we look in the honor shop, there are quest certificates. Now, the blue quest certificates you need a lot of, not these gray ones. I don't have the blue ones unlocked yet, but you need a lot of them. I think you maybe need like 10 or 12. And you can actually get them through the auction house for, I believe, 280 orbs each. I don't need them yet, but what I'm actually going to do is, if I'm up, I don't know, but if I am up for this auction house, I'm going to try to get the blue quest certificates before people even think about, or before people can even use them. The reason is because in the future, people are going to be contesting me for the auction house. Like, hey, I need 4 of these quest certificates, and I'm a whale, so I'm gonna freaking spend a ton of orbs on these. I'm gonna outbid this guy and make it more expensive for him, blah blah blah. So I like to get those while no one else is really thinking about them. Another thing is like artifact enhancers. I'm actually not touching whatsoever. If we look, my trial sword has 0 of anything. The reason is like, in my opinion, the best artifact in the game is Banshee Shriek Sword. Can't believe I stuttered so much saying that. Banshee Shriek Sword. And I'm going to wait until I get that to max that out. A lot of people might be like, putting it into the trial sword and then putting a bit into like the ice tiers when they get that. But I want to max this out as fast as possible instead of spreading my resources thin there. So all in all, I hope some of those tips helped you guys. I'm going to be keeping this account progressing, hopefully. And I'll definitely update you guys on that. But yeah, as you're building your account up, getting your protagonists up, starting to get your future SSRs, awakened for whatever team you want to build. For a lot of people, it's that Rinku and Sasuga and Ishigaki team. Keep building your wish list and just play with whatever characters you got. Maybe a lot of people use like this rare Yusuke, they'll awaken him to UR. Just for a lot of power, they know they'll outspeed. Power and speed, very important when you have this SSR Yusuke. 3-star on your team. So just just think about the resources you're using is a main tip. I'll definitely come out with some other stuff, but for now, that's all I got. Hope it helped, and have a good one, guys.